With the release of Metal Gear Solid The Master Collection, I've been replaying and really enjoying my trip down memory lane and reliving one of the greatest game series ever. It didn't take me long for my memory to kick in and I could recall all the little tricks and workarounds I used to use in my earlier years. But this got me thinking. In 2002 there was a game I overlooked, and this was because I was in love with Metal Gear and I didn't have eyes for anything else. But now that I'm older and I think slightly more wiser, and if you know me personally, you may disagree, but I thought it was high time I dove in and properly experienced Ubisoft's answer to Konami's Metal Gear Solid tactical espionage action with Splinter Cell. As I mentioned before, Splinter Cell was released in 2002, and you follow the path of a legendary retired Black Ops agent who has been brought back into service into a new division of the NSA, which is tasked with monitoring global threats. This new division in which you are introduced to is called Third Echelon, which developed the Splinter Cell program, which was used when it was deemed too dangerous or risky to launch CIA or Special Forces operatives into the field, and when means of digital incursion could not be accomplished. A Splinter Cell agent is an elite soldier who has incredible physical and mental capabilities, who operates as recon and acquisition to retrieve and act upon intelligence which would threaten the security of the United States. These operatives are trained in absolute stealth. The overall purpose of the Splinter Cell game is to investigate missing CIA agents who had been dispatched to Georgia, which was once occupied by the Soviet Union, who were investigating alleged terrorist activity. Without giving away the entire story, the game is centralized around you gathering information for alleged terrorist activity and finding out who is behind it. Starting up the game and loading into your first session, you are introduced to Sam Fisher, who is the aforementioned legendary Black Ops agent, and whom is voiced by none other than Michael Ironside, whom you may know for some amazing movies like Starship Troopers, Major Payne, Stargate SG-1, hell, he even played Ultra Magnus in Transformers Prime.
My story is that of all Autobots since the Exodus. I wandered the spaceways in search of others, reuniting with some.
After a brief introduction to your director, or reintroduction, as the two have clearly known each other for some time, you get to go through this training level, which will teach you all about how the game mechanics work, and how to use the controls and study your environment around you to attain the most optimal result. As you play through the game, you will need to deploy what you have learned throughout the training course in order to complete your missions. It's important to note here that the game is stealth orientated and will actively punish you for trying to muscle your way through it. On the right hand side of the screen, you will notice a vertical bar, which is your health indicator. If you take 4 to 5 shots without using a medical kit, that's it, mission failed. Under this you will see your light meter. Now the light meter is one of my favourite aspects of Splinter Cell, which for me really took the experience to a whole new level. The game is monitoring you in your current surroundings. The higher the light meter is, the easier it is for the enemy NPCs to identify you and attack. On the reverse side of this, the lower the meter, the harder you are to spot.
Like a shadow.
The beauty of this is that you can also create darkness by shooting out some nearby lights, thus extending your invisible field, in which you can stalk the enemy or simply navigate around them.
Like a shadow in the night.
While we are on the topic of the light meter, you can use this to sneak up on enemies and knock them out. Or, if they have information, you can interrogate them to obtain said information. In some levels, you can't kill anyone. If you can kill the enemy, you don't want to leave a body lying around where it can be seen, so again, the light meter comes in handy to identify hiding spots to make sure you leave as little trace of your presence as possible. Under the light meter, you're going to have a box which shows you which gadget you have equipped currently. These gadgets give you multiple ways to get an advantage and completing your mission. The gadgets that the game gives at your disposal are as follows. Night vision or thermal vision goggles. Sam is sporting a set of thermal and night vision goggles, which come in handy when you're sticking to the shadows. It makes all those enemies a lot more visible in order for you to stalk or navigate your way past them. a lockpick. This is for getting through locked doors. It does open up a little event where you have to get the pins in the right order to open the lock, which does take time. Then you have the disposable lockpick. This is effectively a single-use lockpick, which basically just opens a door for you the first time with no mini event taking place. Optical camera. For when you have to pass through a doorway but you don't know what's on the other side, you can slide the optical camera under the door and get a little bit of a lay of the land prior to proceeding. The laser microphone. This one is mission specific but allows you to pick up on conversations which are being held by persons of interest from a safe distance. Wall mine. Mines which you can place on walls. These can be disabled by sneaking up to them and using the disable function to add them to your inventory, but move too quick and they will detonate. A chemical flare. Think here of a glow stick. Crack this sucker and throw it into a dark location, and it makes a nice little distraction for enemies to lure them into those not so safe dark areas. Medical kits. Pretty self-explanatory here. If you take damage and manage to survive, use a medical kit and recover a portion of your health. You can carry up to 5 medical kits at a time. When you use a medical kit, Sam seems to really enjoy this experience. The SC pistol. While I personally believe this to be a weapon, this is classified as a gadget. As such, appears under the gadgets menu, which is a silenced and flash suppressed pistol which holds 20 rounds per clip. Camera jammer. Used to jam the signals of security cameras which can't be disabled by the trusty bullet. As for a weapon, you are given the SC-20K, which is an assault rifle fitted with a sound and flash suppressor, a sniper scope, and an under-barrel launcher which supports single and automatic firing options. The SC-20K also has gadgets which work with it by way of the sticky camera, much like the optical cable, but for when you know the area ahead is going to be loaded with enemies and you can't peek around a corner properly, shoot one of these guys into the room so you can look around and understand exactly where your enemies and or obstacles are, and start plotting your best way around them. This camera also lets you zoom in and out and can be used in conjunction with Sam's goggles. Distraction camera. Much like the sticky camera, although this one allows you to use the camera as a distraction and shoots out a small radius of smoke to further confuse or distract your enemies so you can get past them. A sticky shocker. Upon impact with an enemy, will electrocute them unconscious, enabling you to pass freely. Ring airfoil projectile. Again, this works as a stunning device, as a non-lethal option for missions where killing is a no-no. But keep in mind, anything less than a headshot will only stun them and not render them unconscious. At which point you could use another airfoil, but these things are few and far between. Smoke grenade. Shooting a smoke grenade into a small amount of enemies can render them unconscious. Be careful though, as the grenade will bounce after it hits a surface and take some time getting used to. To use the gadgets with the SC-20K rifle, you'll need to have the weapon equipped and then select the gadget you wish to use, and you will then see this in the window next to the item you have equipped. To use your gadget, you will need to use the secondary fire function. However, the secondary fire function cannot be used while using the scope. You can only fire lethal ammunition while looking through the scope. Traversal in Splinter Cell is genius, as it allows you to control Sam's movement speeds in both standing and crouch position. And sound is also a factor in the enemy detecting where you are within the game. Different surfaces give off different sounds, and some are louder than others. So at this point, sometimes it's better to go
A little slow?
Something was said. Not good. What was it? Don't yell at Homer! No, that's okay. What was it? Slow! They called you slow! How dare you call me that?
But noise can also be an active distraction as well, especially in the earlier levels of the game. You can find empty cans and glass bottles which you can pick up and throw to create a distraction, to lure enemies into certain locations, allowing you to progress. You also have the ability to press yourself against flat surfaces and walls in order to peek around corners. Sam can also climb ladders and drain pipes to get into elevated positions. You can also use zip lines and pipes which run parallel to the ground to get to other areas. One aspect of parallel pipe traversal and zip lines is the ability to crouch while moving or sliding, which causes Sam to lift his lower body up, and in doing so if you end up falling from a height, the zipline will throw Sam into a roll, reducing the sound made from the landing. Sam can also hold himself in position if two walls are close enough to each other so that he can do the splits, connecting to each wall and holding himself in place. I found this, combined with the light meter, really makes for an immersive experience and kind of forces you to slow down and really assess your surroundings and enemy positions as opposed to just barreling through. This really sets Splinter Cell apart from Metal Gear Solid for me, and while it's easy to see the inspiration from Metal Gear Solid in Splinter Cell, Ubisoft took it upon themselves to take it even further, and they brought it all together magnificently. But that's not to say Splinter Cell doesn't have its issues, because it surely does. What I found to be my most frustrating points of Splinter Cell are as follows. The voice acting. I mean, okay, it's a game from 2002 and we can be forgiving here, but it just sounds like the voice actors weren't all present at the same time, and the sound clips are just layered next to each other without the weight and tone of how the other voice actors had performed their part, leaving the talking feeling very disjointed and weird. Now, I can't confirm this is the case, but it's just how it comes across to me. Some of the overlaps within the levels had me get stuck, like in the third level when trying to walk over planks to get to the oil rig. The overlap of the floor which Sam would just slip into made it impossible to get out of, and I would have to reload the game, and this popped up a couple of times. Finally, the aim of Sam when using the pistol. While I appreciate while moving and the aiming reticle would expand, which is a touch of realism, when being perfectly still and had the aiming reticle centered on a target, Sam would still miss, which if enemies are close enough after firing a few suppressed shots, they will investigate the sounds being made. These three things though, don't go so far as to give you a bad experience, you just have to take them on. Because for a 20-year-old game, Splinter Cell has blown me away, and I am kicking myself that I didn't give this a red-hot go sooner. Now, Ubisoft have come out and said that there is a remake of the original Splinter Cell game on the horizon, and allegedly it's going to be on the Snowdrop engine, which I am so excited to play. But little information is available, so we'll just have to wait and see what Ubisoft gives us in the coming months. If you can't wait for the remaster and are interested, I highly recommend sinking your teeth into the original. Just keep in mind it will punish you if you try and rampage your way through it. The game by design is meant to be played tactfully, so just take your time, slow down, and really allow yourself to sink into the game and assess what's happening. As always, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here for the next video.